we always shot mono, so it was the projected material was chosen by the distributors. They would decide whether they wanted a stereo mix, whether they wanted a mono mix, and you're probably right. In that case, it probably was 6-track. The beauty of Lion in Winter was the performers. Again, I was very fortunate. I was recommended to the film, met the director, Anthony Harvey, and the first thing he said to me is, "We don't want to loop any of this film. Peter doesn't want to, and I don't want to." And I said, "Well, that's perfect. Nor I don't want to." And in fact, he sent me on a recce by myself to France to look at the locations that he'd chosen, and asked me to come back with a report as to where we could shoot and get usable sound, and where, if necessary, he would have to build a set in preference. And Eleanor's bedroom, which was Katharine Hepburn's set, was chosen to be in Carcassonne. And it was going to be in a turret room over a main road. And I said, if you can stop the main road, we can shoot. And as it was the main road through the town, there was no way we were going to stop the road. We built the set, and they built the set at Ardmore in Ireland, very successfully. We had a lot of success on the film. We had no looping in the film. When I needed lines that were not clear for extraneous noise or whatever, I had a system whereby I built a little booth on a stairwell so that I still retained some echo. Put the actors in the booth and re-recorded the lines that I needed. And I'm told it worked rather well. The actors were extraordinary. It was like two people, two regular people, not two actors, having a conversation and a discussion and an argument. One particular situation was with the two of them in a bedroom set. We started to rehearse, and I think we had about a 2 or 3 minute dialogue scene. The actual scene length was about 6 minutes, and we were due to cut halfway through and pick up a different angle. The actors were so good, and they kept going, that we actually recorded the whole sequence in one foul swoop. Ultimately, we obviously had to get coverage, but that's how well prepared they were, that they were able to reproduce everything they had to do, and it was just a pleasure to listen to them. It was we had a lot of fun as well, because the sons in the film were all new actors to us. Anthony Hopkins particularly. I had a little trouble with him because he had, at that time, had quite a broad Welsh accent. And we didn't want him to have a broad Welsh accent. One particular scene we shot, and he just wasn't aware that he was getting, because of the sequence itself, he wasn't aware that he was going Welsh. And I said to the director, he's turned very Welsh, and it's becoming a little unintelligible. And he said, no, it'll be fine. Of course, we went to see the film, The Rushes, the following day. And he said, okay, Simon, you're right, we'll do it again. But those actors were actually extraordinary, and you can almost see them now and hear them now. I did have to say to Katharine Hepburn on one occasion, we need a little more voice on a particular line. And she said, I've never been asked for more voice, but if you want it, you got it. And that was the sort of character she was. And we had a wonderful relationship. She was very generous in every way, and kept a very nice atmosphere going. We had, and it was 1967. That goes back a bit, but you remember those things with a lot of affection. They were wonderful. Absolutely, each and every one of them were absolutely super. What I didn't tell you was that before the film started, before these guys were cast, we took them to a park. I think it was in Chelsea or somewhere, and Peter played lines against them, and we did a test for all of them, exterior. And that was in itself was a wonderful experience, because I was meeting them for the first time, and we didn't even know that they were going to be cast, because it was obviously up to the director and producer if they were going to be acceptable in the parts proposed. But that was also a very interesting experience, because they were particularly absolutely free to move and do whatever they wanted to do, and just play the part as they saw it on the script. We went twice on two different movies, but that was the first time. And that was just like being in, it's like a big family studio. It was in Bray, in County Wicklow, ideally situated for everything we needed. We didn't shoot the location material there. We shot an exterior there, which was built on the lot, which was an exterior of a castle. Other than that, we shot in the south of France. We shot in Arles, principally, Carcassonne, and the Enlivon. We had some really excellent locations. They were very well selected. And we had made a big hall sequence in Lion in Winter, a big dining sequence, and a lot of activity, but very little dialogue. And when I did the recce by myself, and I looked at this room, and I thought, oh my gosh, we'll never shoot direct sound in here because it's too open, it's too wide. In fact, by the time they dressed the set and put curtains and not carpet, because it didn't have carpet, but furniture, it damped it down, and we were reasonably successful. And we didn't have a lot of dialogue in there, and if we did, we just replaced it. That was the main hall. Other than that, the locations that were chosen were all chosen and accepted. One or two of them were exteriors by the main road and things of that nature, which had the 20th century atmosphere attached, so we had to re-record those lines. And that was another very interesting thing, because I wasn't originally nominated. Chris was nominated, and he actually sent me a copy of a letter that he'd sent to the Academy, saying that under no circumstances could he accept the nomination, because he had never been on a film that he'd had so little work to do. I was due for the nomination, and they said, well, they couldn't take his name off the nomination, but they could add mine. And I thought that was charming. And he was a great technician. You over the years you get lucky, and if you're in a swim of, if you like, good movies, you come in contact with a lot of very special people, and you appreciate their talents. It's not poking fingers at people. It's enjoying each other's ability.